Welcome back to Common Sense. I'm Wendy Bell. In the world of marketing mistakes, we've seen some spectacular failures lately under the guise of wokeness and do-goodery. Of course, there's Disney, which lost more than 2 million subscribers to its Disney Plus streaming service in the first quarter of this year alone. Taking on parents perhaps not so smart. And the Song of the South, really? Gillette lost $8 billion after its Me Too campaign crashed and burned. Newsflash, criticizing men, the majority of whom shave because of their toxic masculinity. Doesn't really sell a lot of razors, but I mean, what do I know? Perhaps our panel has a little bit more insight into the land of woke than I do. Once again, I'm here with Melanie Collette, the host of Money Talk with Melanie on 98.7 The Coast in New Jersey. Also the host of the Ari Hoffman Show on 570 AM KVI. He's also a writer for the Post-Millennial Ari Hoffman. And Wendy Patrick, a career attorney and host of Today with Dr. Wendy on KCBQ, The Answer. All right, Melanie, you're up first. Bad optics, horrible optics for Hershey's Canada, right? Bad message, bad timing, bad everything. To celebrate the start of Women's History Month, the chocolate company laid a giant turd sandwich. Watch.
My name is Faye Johnstone. I'm the executive director of Wisdom to Action. We can create a world where everyone is able to live in public space as their honest and authentic selves. See the woman changing how we see the future at Hershey's Canada.
Really? I mean, Hershey thinks celebrating guys who pretend to be girls is a good marketing strategy. Come on in here, Melanie. What do you think?
You're right. They're pretending, and it's Women's History. What are we doing, and why? All I want is a good whatchamacallit. That's all I want. And like the whole irony of that being an ad for whatchamacallit is just, I mean, if you can't figure it out, I'm not going to tell you, but it is just hilarious. It's hilarious to me anyway. But it gets back to this whole narrative that being a woman is aesthetic. And it just simply isn't. There's so much more to it than that. You just can't run around doing the aesthetic part of being a woman without doing what I call the suffering or the essence, the hormonal changes, the having to go out and do and be everything to everybody. There's so much more to womanhood than just a wig and a dress. There just is. And from a marketing standpoint, like why? Have you done a market study? Like 5% of the population is said to be a part of this group. Why are you marketing to that 5%? You should be marketing to people who don't want to eat sugar for some reason. Because if you taste a whatchamacallit, it's quite good. Just saying.
I think it's awesome. You know, and within 24 hours, Wendy, boycott Hershey's was the #1 trending topic on Twitter here in the U.S. Hey, ring, ring, it's Gillette calling, and Harry's Razors, and even Cinderella. Like, are you surprised by the swift and devastating takedown of Hershey's? Reminds me of the Great Barrington Declaration. Go, Wendy.
Oh, I'm not. And, you know, the very first thing that came to my mind when I saw the ads and the backlash was brand management. You know, when you own a company as successful as Hershey's, you have to think about who your brand ambassadors are going to be. And when you select those ambassadors, you really want them to have universal appeal. And what's really come up here in the backlash is this a scandal or sweet nothings? I would say Reese's peanut butter cups is my favorite. We've all got our favorite candy, but we don't want to boycott candy bars. We want to make sure that we can select people that are going to well represent the company. Now, you can represent diversity in a number of different ways. The question that's swirling here in the business community and in the marketing community is, was this the best way to celebrate Women's Day and women and their contributions and all of the rest of what that day stands for, what the month stands for? So that's the question here. And I think we are at least taking the temperature and the poll of public opinion by what we're reading online.
Right. I agree. And Ari, you know, sometimes bad decisions can give birth to brilliant marketing. The Daily Wire, who launched Jeremy's Razors, named after co-founder Jeremy Boring after Harry's Razors went woke, within hours of Hershey's squirt, if you will, launched Jeremy's Chocolate. It comes in 2 kinds. There's the he, him, and the she, her, and only one has nuts.
Yeah, I was looking at that whole thing going, that's just the most brilliant troll ever. And if you can make money off it, more power to you. But I mean, has there been a single company that went woke and didn't go broke? I can't think of any. Let's go back in time a little bit to Sears. Sears, even before woke was a thing, back in what, the late 1990s, had Come See the Softer Side of Sears trying to appeal to the women's base. Now, that wasn't done for woke reasons. They were trying to get more female shoppers. But the problem was the people who shopped at Sears were guys who wanted appliances, guys who wanted tools, guys who wanted tires. And as a result, they said, screw this, I don't want to shop here anymore. And they went to Home Depot, which was up and coming at the time. Lowe's was up and coming at the time. And that's where they started going for that stuff. And they lost market share because of it. If you're going to try and do something like this, you have to make sure to keep your customer base intact. None of them are doing it because they're doing it all for the wrong reasons. And I wonder when it became a thing for corporations to say, screw making money. We want to be virtuous instead. Why do they feel like they have to weigh in on every political issue?
Right. Our shareholders don't care, right? And Melanie, the media also have woke fails, right? We found this one on MSNBC. Who needs legitimate news anymore? Like the toxic waste dump in East Palestine, the ocean of illegals crossing our country, Joe Biden tripping up the stairs. Nope, here's MSNBC sit down with Kamala Harris's husband. Watch.
Can we just talk about masculinity for a moment? Has being second gentleman changed your own view of perceived gender roles or what it means to be a man?
What on earth? Why is that even a question? We are all now officially dumber.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. Why? Is he now walking around the White House in an apron and cooking and pregnant? Is that what is happening? Just because his wife is the vice president, that does not change his role in their marriage, in their dynamic, or at least it should not. If he's a supportive and loving husband, what kind of conversation are we having?
100%. But you got to wait, because Kamala's husband, Doug Emhoff, has an even dumber answer to the dumb question. Wendy, I want you to hear this and then weigh in. Listen.
This is something I've thought about a lot and something I've spoken about a lot. There's too much of toxicity. It's masculine toxicity out there, and we've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Apparently Hershey's has the answer. Just dress like a chick and you can be one too. Wendy, hop in.
You know, it almost seems like the more celebrities and their spouses talk about these issues, the more rife it is to make mistakes and say things they wish they could take back. You know, when you have this narrative and you really maybe do have some legitimate beliefs about being married to somebody who's a public official, who's famous, who's this, who's that, sometimes it's better to just talk about the value of your relationship and how you support each other and the love and the children you're raising together, instead of veering off into using perhaps controversial tags and titles, because that only seems to get people into trouble. And then that footage is always played back on talk shows like this, where we get to really dissect it, and they wish maybe they'd framed it a little bit differently.
Right. Ari, I've got 15 seconds. It's yours. Give me one word to encapsulate everything that we're living through right now. What's that word?
What is a woman? That's 3. You know, I mean, really, at this point, this is just complete insanity. That's it.
Yeah. There you go. Insanity. Bing, 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 bing. We've solved the world's problems, guys. Thanks to all of you. Melanie, come on back. Also, Wendy and Ari, thank you so much.